Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Money Mike, and my mind has been brewing up ideas since Tuesday night when we saw Jordynne Grace, the TNA Knockout Women's Champion, be named the challenger for Roxanne Perez NXT Women's Championship at NXT Battleground. And now you have main roster talent like Drew McIntyre and Xavier Woods tweeting out the potential appearance in TNA and going through the forbidden door. I know Triple H doesn't like that term, but I'm just happy, I think a lot of fans are, that WWE is kind of embracing the Forbidden Door concept. And yes, it might only be with NXT and TNA, but when you have Drew McIntyre and Xavier Woods, Xavier's talking about him and Kofi winning the TNA tag titles, and you have Drew McIntyre going, hey, the door goes both ways. And Drew McIntyre tweeted out a picture exactly of him holding the TNA World Championship. Hey, CM Punk can't hurt him there, right? That's a world title he can win without having to worry about CM Punk. Oh, right, CM Punk used to be in TNA too. Yeah, Drew McIntyre just can't escape CM Punk. But the idea that WWE is working together with people with another wrestling promotion is something that was unheard of 10, 15 years ago. And now that WWE has kind of embraced this Forbidden Door concept that we can thank AEW for. Now, obviously, you could say, well, Triple H might have done this anyway because Vince wasn't there, and for so many years, Vince lived in this bubble where whatever you did outside of WWE did not matter. And you see now how open they are to acknowledging outside accomplishments, outside of WWE accomplishments. And you see Mickie James was in the Women's Royal Rumble a couple years ago as a Knockout Women's Champion. Jordynne Grace was in the Royal Rumble this year as a Knockout Women's Champion. And she is now challenging for the NXT Women's title. And it makes you wonder, how much more is this going to take off? Shawn Michaels, in an interview, I have the quote here, he says that if there's going to be more surprises. And when he talked about, Jordynne Grace, he, coming to NXT, he said that Triple H owed him one. When she was in the Royal Rumble, he got a little jealous. So he told Triple H, hey, you owe me one. So Triple H sent Jordynne Grace down to NXT. I guess they worked things out. But now that there is that open door policy, it seems, and that it could be going to the main roster, not just from a storyline perspective, TV, matches, all this stuff, which is what I think everybody's been doing this week. Is a lot of wrestling YouTubers have been doing let's fantasy book everything. I don't want to fantasy book everything here. I think there's a lot from a story perspective that WWE and TNA can do. And obviously, I am recording this before SmackDown, and I'm hoping this will go up before SmackDown tonight. But you see what's going on with AJ Styles, where Nick Aldis, who used to be in TNA as Magnus, is not giving AJ Styles another shot at Cody Rhodes. And you know, there is a pay-per-view, TNA has pay-per-view coming up called Slammiversary. It's the big 20th anniversary. AJ Styles is Mr. TNA. Huh. What if AJ Styles quits WWE? Maybe he goes to Raw on Monday and says, hey, look, Nick Aldis won't give me a shot at the world title. I want a match with Damian Priest. And then Adam Pearce says, I can't do that because you're a SmackDown talent. So, no world title shot for you. And then AJ goes, alright, fine, I quit WWE within kayfabe, and he goes to TNA to challenge Moose for the world title because Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce won't let him challenge for the WWE the fact that it's still called Undisputed, the Undisputed WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship, so he goes back to where his career started, and that's in TNA to get a world title shot. It plays well into it. Ethan Page has come out and said he's not signed to WWE. So, could that parlay into what they're doing with TNA, where Ethan Page is kind of going into a bidding war where TNA and WWE are trying to sign him, and it plays into to whatever invasion angle that they could do. But I want to take a look here at the roster of TNA, because to me, the crossover is huge. Obviously, a lot of people want to see WWE and AEW work together, but I think the egos between Tony Khan and Triple H probably aren't going to mesh well. Also, the booking philosophies between Tony Khan and Triple H, that's not going to mesh together either. So, I don't know if we're ever going to get that. Maybe we will. Maybe this is how that door to AEW opens up, in that we could see Jon Moxley, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns in the same ring once again. But let's stick to TNA here for a second, because I want to look at their roster here, and for me, the crossover with WWE makes sense, because you look up and down their roster, and I'm going to put it up here on the screen. So you see here the roster page on TNA. You see Moose is their world champion. Jordynne Grace, who I just talked about, is challenging Roxanne Perez, their Knockouts world champion. And then right off the bat, you see Mustafa Ali, the current X Division champion, also former WWE talent Mustafa Ali. You come down here, TNA tag titles that Xavier Woods talked about winning. Oh, that's held by Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards. And, well, Brian Myers, the former Kurt Hawkins. And again, Eddie Edwards. To see Eddie Edwards in a WWE ring would be so great. And to me, the matches you could have as we go down the roster here, the dream matches that, again, I'm not going to get into the dream matches, the booking, because that seems like a lot of other YouTubers have already done that. I just want to look at this from a mass perspective of what this could mean in the grand scheme of things, not just from a TV booking perspective. So you look through this roster and you see the amount of former WWE talent. Obviously, AJ Francis, who is probably still banned from diving, and he will probably still be banned from diving if he goes to WWE, if he shows up in NXT. You got Ash by Elegance, the former Dana Brooke. I mentioned Brian Myers, former Kurt Hawkins. Eric Young, he's familiar with NXT. Dirty Dango, Fandango. Gail Kim, a former WWE talent who obviously, she's had her issues with WWE in the past, and, it's a new era. Triple H might be able to get her to show up on WTV, a Hall of Fame induction. Again, if Triple H can mend the fences of a lot of talent that had issues with WWE in the past, that would be absolutely incredible. And Gail Kim would be one of those that I think a lot of fans would love to see back in WTV in some way. Just looking at, not even just WWE talent, but Hammerstone. He was a free agent signed by TNA. Great pickup. A lot of people thought maybe he would be bound for AEW or WWE, but he chose TNA. Go down here. Hey, Joe Hendry. I think a lot of people would like to see a crossover there with Joe Hendry. Him making music videos on WWE Talent. And again, for those who don't know Joe Hendry, who didn't follow his, if you go on to Insane Championship Wrestling, I think it's called, ICW, he has a great video he did about Drew McIntyre. I can't play it because of copyrights, but it's absolutely great. And if you've seen the stuff he's been doing with AJ Francis, absolutely incredible. The music, the videos he can make about NXT talent, WWE talent, those would be fun to watch. You got Josh Alexander, again, not a former WWE guy, but even with the TNA talent who haven't been in WWE, the crossover appeal with the matches and everything else is just, buzzworthy. As a fan, it makes you want to see certain superstars face off. You got Kushida, who used to be in NXT. Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder. You have Matt Hardy. Nick Nemeth. Mike Santana, who was in AEW, now in TNA. That would be an interesting, especially if you can, Ethan Page saying he's not signed to WWE. You put Ethan Page and Mike Santana kind of as invaders from AEW. That'd be kind of interesting. You have Rhino. Another former WWE guy, ECW guy, Sami Callihan. He used to be in NXT. Santino Marella. You have the crossover. Basically, I'm not going to go through everybody here, but the crossover appeal, as you can see here, the rest of the roster is there, right? And when you look at from the outside perspective of this, where you look at, say, the video game, 2K25. You could maybe include TNA. You could freshen up the My Rise storylines by having TNA to where maybe your created character goes from the independent circuit, whatever fake promotion 2K makes up for next year, and maybe he gets signed by TNA before going to WWE, or, they want to maybe replicate AJ Styles' career, so to speak, and have your character go through AJ Styles' career or whatever. But you could do that. You could do DLC with TNA superstars. And for a lot of people, we're saying, why wasn't Raven, Tommy Dreamer, included in some other ECW talent? Why weren't they included in the ECW pack? And to me, I think now that you kind of have the door open with TNA, where you have Tommy Dreamer, you have Rhino, two former ECW talent that could go over, that could be a part of next year's game to expand more on ECW. And also, just if you did a DLC pack alone of the former WWE talent, but with their WWE gimmicks. So maybe you unlock their TNA gimmicks in My Rise. So maybe we get a DLC pack with Zack Ryder, and you unlock Matt Cardona playing My Career mode in My Rise, where you have to play a death match, or I guess in WWE's case, an Extreme Rules match with Matt Cardona. To unlock him in My Rise. Maybe Nick Nemeth, you face him. You can get DLC to have Dolph Ziggler. Like a Blast from the Past WWE pack or something. So you could do like a Nick Nemeth, Rhino, Tommy Dreamer, Matt Cardona. Jeff Hardy is now a free agent. And Matt Hardy's in TNA. And if you have a working relationship with TNA, and you and W were to do something with TNA involving the video game, I mean, I'm just saying, we're 2/3 of the way through of recreating the infamous TLC matches between the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. We're just missing, Edge and Christian. So we're close. We still need community creations for that, but to have authentic versions of Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy in next year's game, potentially through this crossover, or if Jeff Hardy goes back to WWE, which I don't know that will happen, because I think WWE right now has so many great young talent that I think Triple H might just pass, especially given how Jeff Hardy left WWE. I think it's more likely he shows up in TNA with his brother, but could work with WWE as part of this TNA, WWE, NXT, whatever it is, invasion or storyline, so to speak. So, for me, I'm just excited because this is something that I thought we'd never see WWE working together with any promotion, let alone TNA. So I'm happy to see that this is happening. I'm curious to see where this goes. I want Jordynne Grace to beat Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship to really solidify this whole entire storyline, or whatever they're going to do. Have Roxanne maybe lead an NXT invasion to go over to TNA to get her title back. Again, AJ Styles, he gets mad he can't get a world title shot, so he goes to TNA to try to get a world title shot. And you can get AJ Styles showing up at Slammiversary, and he's back on TNA, and Robert Roode. I believe WWE still employs Joseph Parks, aka Abyss, as an agent, so you could have him go over and be Abyss for one night at Slammiversary. And who wouldn't want Abyss in WWE in a 2K video game, being able to get, I think from a video game perspective, I think this could do so much more to introduce the WWE audience to TNA, and gives TNA more eyes on their product. I think this only benefits them so much, and I really hope that we do see more crossover on the main roster, which would then really put more eyes on them. Because obviously with NXT, they don't get as much viewers as Raw and SmackDown, so you do the main roster crossover. You have the New Day go over to TNA to challenge for the tag titles. You have Drew McIntyre, maybe. He goes over there. Maybe he's sick of CM Punk and he wants to go over to TNA where CM Punk can't hurt. Right. CM Punk was in TNA before. Yeah. Drew McIntyre can't escape CM Punk. Hopefully, maybe Drew McIntyre can get CM Punk's passport revoked before Clash of the Castle, so that way he can't lose. So that way he can beat Damian Priest for the title without CM Punk costing him the match. But to me, I think the mass appeal for a crossover with TNA goes way beyond the storylines, way beyond what we'll see on TV. I think you can expand it to the video games. You can expand it to maybe some special appearances. Every once in a while, maybe Santino, who's the director of authority in TNA right now, maybe something happens to Adam Pearce or Nick Aldis, and then you call up TNA and you send Santino in for one night. And now he's the director of authority on SmackDown or Raw for one night because Adam Pearce or Nick Aldis was attacked. Like, say, AJ Styles attacks Nick Aldis for not giving him a title shot, and then there's no GM, and then Triple H comes out and says that, we need somebody that can run the show. We need a director of authority, and then Santino comes out, and he's the GM for the night. And then, or whatever, you could do some fun crossover with this, and I'm excited for it. Comment below, what do you want to see out of this whole WWE TNA universe, cross universe, Forbidden Door, whatever you want to call it, multiverse. That's the word I was looking for. I've been your host, Money Mike, and I'll be back later this weekend with more content. Hit that like and subscribe button today for more wrestling content. My channel rebrand is coming very shortly, and I will have a video on Sunday detailing my channel rebrand with a special live stream announcement for Clash at the Castle.